hard, especially when you have attorney Allison Cohen on your side. How you don't surrender. The reason you don't surrender is because she'll make it happen. Joining me now, my good friend, who I had a wonderful time with last weekend. I was honored to be part of it. Attorney Allison Cohen, host of Legalese, heard every Saturday here on WTAG at 11 o'clock. And then you can listen in Western Mass with the iHeartRadio app from Cohen Law Services, the First Lady of Law, Allison Cohen. Good morning, Allison.
Good morning, Colossus of Cloud. I feel a little undressed without my earphones this morning.
You want me to get you some?
No, I'm just observing the difference with having the earphones on
Right.
and the earphones off, and you're all hooked in.
Well, I
like
told
in the
Danny.
Matrix.
Yeah, I am.
Yes.
The Matrix is real, believe
Morpheus,
me.
I know.
I've seen it.
Right.
The Matrix is real. Well, I have to have them on because then I can do that Jim Polito radio voice.
Exactly.
It lets you hear yourself. It's like a singer with a monitor. But I want to thank you for including me in your wonderful daughter Danielle's bat mitzvah here. I know that your sister Melanie is here too. It was nice to see her and her husband, your entire family. It was wonderful to be part of such an event, and I don't know if you heard me talking about it Monday. Just how wonderful it was, and how much, whether you're Jewish or not, or just what an incredible ceremony it is.
It was beautiful. Tradition.
Tradition, right? Yes, wonderful. So
glad you guys were there. It was fantastic. It was a great week all the way around.
It was just beautiful. So, and Mazel Tov to Danielle. She's wonderful.
I know.
You did an incredible job with those kids, all of them.
Thank you, Colossus.
You deserve
Appreciate it.
And you do a wonderful job with this kid because you've kept me on the straight and narrow.
On the straight and narrow, and this is the big week because the Supreme Court, Team Supreme, we have our decorations thanks to Melody.
I love it. Melody always does this.
Excited. So let's just hit the stat pack for a little bit because I think this is interesting, Jim. So this year, in terms of the cases for the October term, we had 41 cases that were decided unanimously. So that was 8-0. They bring it down as 9-0, but
41 cases.
Yeah, so that's 59%. That's one of the highest amounts in years. Really, in years going back.
In sports terms, a shutout.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we were thinking about it being a problematic situation with Justice Scalia passing on, we have found, God rest his soul, you and I love him.
He's our favorite.
Strict constructionist, love the guy.
Yeah.
But it was a very cohesive court this year.
Yeah.
There was another 6 cases or 9% that were decided 7-1. There were 12 cases or 17% that was decided 7-2. It's really 6-2, but this is how they look at it because remember we were missing the one justice. 4% were decided 5-3, and then we had 10% also coming in sort of under this what they call the 5-4. But since we were still missing a justice, it was 5-3. But overall, a pretty cohesive court.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. And let's say this, with the First Circuit, that's Massachusetts, Jim.
Yeah.
We batted 1,000. We had
wait a second, none of us. Nothing was.
We only had one case. We had one case that went up before the Supreme Court in the First Circuit, and it was affirmed at 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, we batted
1,000. That's great. That means our court, when they made decisions, it went up.
Yeah. It got affirmed.
All right, let me ask the obvious question.
Okay,
because let's just travel from east to west. Let's go all the way. We're in the First Circuit. Let's go to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Okay, so the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals was overturned 88% of the time.
See, this is it. And for those of you who don't know, let me explain it to you in political terms. That's the court that has stood in the way of the president's executive order on immigration.
Right.
They have been, and everyone praises the Ninth Circuit. Oh, what would that be, Danny, in sports? Like, what would that be for your average? Well, you would know, Alice. For your batting average, you'd be nothing.
You'd be nothing, right?
It's like wait a minute, nearly 9 times out of 10, when you get up to bat, you strike out.
You're going 1 for 10.
I think you're going back down to the minors, and maybe you're gonna.
You're not even playing AAA ball.
You're not. You're way back.
You're all the way back. So maybe that's part of the reason why commentators feel that the Ninth Circuit is politicians in robes.
It is,
and we've spoken about that before. And so the travel ban was also upheld this week. The Supreme Court came out in part, except for when you have a close contact with somebody that's an actual relative, a spouse, a child, not even grandparents, not girlfriends, not fiancés, an actual
Oh, I
relative.
wondered about
Yes,
that.
an
It can't be
actual-
a girlfriend or a
No,
boyfriend.
absolutely not. It is restricted to a close contact. In those situations, they're allowed in. Otherwise, that second order that he put in place in March of 2017 has been upheld in part, and they're going to have further arguments on it in the fall, but it's a big victory for the Trump
It is
administration.
huge.
It really is.
That goes into the 88% average you talked about from the Ninth Circuit,
Right.
where everybody says, well, oh, Trump stuff is being shut down by the court. It's being shut down by the Ninth Circuit, as people have said, politicians and ropes. Now, Allison, you and I talk politics,
Right.
and a lot of our politics aligns. But it's a different conversation when you and I talk law, because it's not politics.
Exactly.
It is, Jim, here's the law.
Right.
Here's what I studied, here's how I understand it. There can be interpretations, but here's the law. It's your opinion of the law. It shouldn't be your ideology impressed upon the law.
That's 100% right. And so when you think about the reason why you and I both like Scalia,
Yeah.
is his approach to understanding the law was to look at what the law actually says.
Yeah.
And it's not really an interpretation of the statute, it should be the plain meaning of the statute.
Period.
And only at that point, if there is some, fuzziness with the statute, is when you need to dig down a little bit deeper and look to interpretations. But in terms of even the ban that was put in place in that executive order, when you went back to the statute that allowed for it, it was clear on its face. And I think the Supreme Court removed this idea of what was Trump saying on the campaign trail? What was it that he was commenting on that allowed, that evidence to be brought forward, which it shouldn't have been? Because within the federal law
Yeah.
that they had created, it was clear that they had a right to do this on a temporary basis in order to protect the citizens of the United States.
That's great. And that's what the court looked at. They didn't look at what he said.
Right.
Okay, let me go a step further here with you.
Yes,
Okay, this is a 90-day ban.
right,
They said they were going to take this up in October.
right.
They may not have to take it up. The case may be moot, correct? So if he just leaves it in place for 90 days, it goes into it. It went into effect, what, 8 o'clock last night?
Yes.
So if you go out 90 days, by the time they get to it, he's already going to have dropped it.
And I want to say this, it's important too, because remember, it was just 6 countries, right?
Yep.
5 of which had already been put in on a watch list by President Obama,
Yep.
former president. So the countries are Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. So it's just those 6 countries. It was just a 90-day temporary ban in order to kind of slow things down, to see where we are, and to protect really the citizens of the United States. So what was, to me, it was a lot of hoopla, right?
Yeah.
It was a lot of hoopla that was brought forward. I understand in certain circumstances, certain individuals were affected. And so now the Supreme Court has rightly carved out a small little exception for those people that have actual family contacts.
And that makes
Yes,
sense.
and it does make sense, and I'm okay with it. And as far as I think the overall bigger picture of what this means is, can the president put in place through his executive authority a ban like this and allow it to be really the law of the land so that it's upheld? You had a
That's
lot of
upheld.
people that were refusing to uphold it, and so that created a whole bunch of controversy. But I'm very happy with this decision because I feel that it was credible. I feel that it was based clearly on the law, on a statute that had been put in effect long before the Trump administration had
Oh,
come
yes.
into office.
Much
And
more.
so, and that's the job of the Supreme Court. That's their job.
I got it. Allison, we're going to do so that we can really dig in. We're going to take the break right on time for
Okay.
once. If you're watching on Charter TV3, you got to look at what Melanie did in here. So I've got a football that says Colossus of Clout. Lady Law has a football. Charter TV3, channel 193. Don't forget, you can see us. You're going to want to see Allison, not me. But you can see us, and you can see our great poster back here with, I love that. All the
Go Team Supreme. Woo!
Go Team
Yes.
Supreme.
Awesome.
So don't go anywhere. You're listening to the SCOTUS Bowl here on the Jim Polito Show, your safe space.